Hello and good morning, everyone. Again, to this new episode of our Sales and Leadership podcast. We will continue building up on the future of the sales topic that we were discussing from last week. And if you or anybody were missed the first episode, it's available on our LinkedIn feed page. You can go ahead and just watch it for yourself. We are keeping all these episodes now for 15 minutes, short and concise, so you can just spend 15 minutes of your weekly time into your self growth, into your personal development. And I think it's essential that we continue building up our knowledge, our expertise, and all these insights that we're sharing here is to help you build that. Myself, I'm Wajid Ali, based out of Toronto, Canada, with more than close to 2 decades of sales, technical sales, and leadership experience now. With me is my co-host and partner Simon Rodriguez from Canada. Simon, you can go ahead, introduce yourself, and then we will build up on the conversation.
Thank you, Wajid, and good morning, everyone. Thanks again for joining us in this new episode of the Sales Leadership Podcast. As Wajid mentioned, the purpose of these sessions is to share best practices, experiences, drawing from our almost 2 decades each working in technical sales and in different areas when it comes to sales and leadership. We look forward to sharing more of this initial topic we started discussing last week, which was around the future of sales. We start describing and let's say sharing some of those trends that we're seeing when it comes to the future of sales. We're starting a new year. We're seeing a lot of excitement around technology, automation, and we want to discuss that balance between obviously maximizing the value from automation, but at the same time, how can we keep relationships as they are in nature, human and obviously valuable and meaningful. With that, I will hand it over to Wajid to dive into our second topic. In the just as a summary, in the first section of the episode, we talked about AI and automation and how they can help as a tool to improve and increase coverage for lead generation, even in the qualification process as a good tool. But now we're obviously going into a second topic tied to this initial one. So over to you, Wajid. What's that we're basically gonna be focusing on as a second topic?
Yeah, thank you, Simon, for laying the foundation and expectations here. As you said, we did talk about the AI and the role of automation in the sales and the future of the sales. So it was an exciting conversation we had it last week, and we will continue building up on that. The second topic that we wanted to discuss on that article, I'll leave the link to that article for the readers and for the listeners as well. We're talking about the personalization, right? What is it as a salesperson going today, 2025 and onward, beyond? What is it that we could do? What is our role? And how can we differentiate ourselves from the rest of the sales reps, salespeople? And I think the first thing that comes to my mind, and that's what we highlighted in that article, is the personalization, right? How can you make sure that when you reach out to a prospect, to a customer of yours, you stand out than the rest of the salespeople that are trying to get hold of that person? And the first thing is have a personalized or tailored messaging, right? Because and for that, we did talk about it in the past on some of our podcasts. How can I guess the question here would be for the listeners to help the listeners understand what can they do to ensure that they have a personalized and a tailored message. Because if you go and use the same generic message for all of your customers and prospects, the likelihood of your success is much lower as opposed to you have a tailored and much personalized message. So, to start with the question, Simon, what is it that we should do as sales reps or sales leaders to work on this skill?
Yeah, that's interesting with it because it's true that although AI, technology, automation, great tool that can help us obviously have greater reach when it comes to lead generation, getting closer to more prospects. Exactly back to your point, it needs to be relevant. It needs to be contextualized to that prospect situation, right? We have seen, and I think we all have seen it as consumers, users, that sometimes we get either a message or a contact which is not even relevant to our situation. It's not even relevant to what we are evaluating, right? So in my view is sure we can leverage the technology and we can use it and obviously that's something, let's say, that we shouldn't take for granted. But at the same time, back to your point, we should focus on providing that context-based reach, right? If we're reaching to a new company, we need to understand what are those drivers, what are those objectives that the company is focusing on, is pursuing. And I think that comes to, you can still use technology and just another use case that comes to my mind with you and for the audience, let's say you're pursuing a new energy company, you can still go and look at their financial reports online. You can take maybe the 300 pages financial report, put it in one of the AI tools, and just get the summary of the key things. And you can
Right.
still use that as a way to contextualize and have that customized tailor message, right, as you described. So I think that's going to be the differentiator is sure using technology, but we still need to have that relevant message when we're reaching out to customers, because otherwise it just becomes noise and we're all overflown with data information, and it just becomes right like another element that is not adding value to the prospect, to our customers. So I will summarize it that as long as you're reaching out with value and with something relevant to that customer, to that prospect, that's where you are moving the needle when it comes to the initial engagement or interaction.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said. I think what I'm gonna add there is when the sense of curiosity, we need to have that curiosity always within ourselves, even if we are reaching out to an existing customer of ours or if we are trying to get hold of a new prospect or a new customer, right? And even if we're utilizing an AI tool, if we have a curiosity built in ourselves, if we have worked on that skill, how to be curious, and the more curious you are, the more you will try to understand your customer, and the more you understand your customer, the more personalized and tailored messaging you could develop using AI tool or automation or whatnot. But that curiosity element is something which is a human thing, right? So if you're curious while reaching out to your customers, make sure that you're curious about them, meaning that what is happening in the industry, what is happening with that customer, what is on the news about them, what is happening, what kind of projects they're doing, or what technology is coming in to that industry which potentially could impact them, could add value to their processes and their lives, and you can use those such kind of information to add value to the life of yourself and your customers at the same time. Now, I think here what we're gonna do is we will just move on to the next topic that we have highlighted in the article, and I just call it sales and marketing alignment, right? You know, historically, conventionally, I have seen in a lot of organizations, sales and marketing, although they complement each other, but in most of the organizations, they are kind of two different verticals of the sales function. So how can we make sure that both sales and marketing are aligned in their messaging, in their approach, in their KPIs, in the content they're creating? Now, looking at it from the future perspective, what do we need to do to ensure that both our marketing segment and our sales segment kind of go hand in hand while utilizing these new tools, new technologies, new approaches that is coming in from 2025 and beyond?
Yeah, I think that that's still a challenge that, as you said, it we have seen historically, obviously getting that alignment and ensuring that we're working closely, marketing and sales, to meet those goals, to have that common, obviously objective and common goal for the organization. What I think that can help us, and I have seen as well now leveraging technology even more, and I see it as a trend, is leveraging analytics and data analytic and reporting to, let's say, improve areas where we need to improve. And I'll give you an example. Let's say with marketing, it's obviously about bringing quality leads, bringing creating awareness, and then driving those potential opportunities for the sales team to follow up and to continue the sales process. One challenge has always been that perhaps the leads or the audience is not the right one. Perhaps the content is not bringing or creating awareness. Now, I'm seeing more tools right now that can help us measure. And again, you cannot improve what you cannot measure, right? And it's all about leveraging analytics in terms of conversion rate. Like if we had this campaign, this specific technology campaign for the company, like how effective was this campaign in terms of conversion, in terms of bringing new leads, quality of leads. So in my view, it's about making sense of that data that we all have more access now, right? We have more data, more tools. So if we can use that into a meaningful way to measure how effective this marketing approach is and how it's helping sales, right? And how we're obviously aligning as an organization. So that would be my take with it. There might be other areas to, let's say, getting that alignment. But in my view, and since we're talking about technology and new trends that we're seeing in sales, that will be one that I will be curious about now that we have more data, more analytic platforms, how we can maximize the value of data and how we can measure success. That would be one thing that I will add. But yeah, I'm curious if that's something that you have experienced as well, like because it's always with marketing and campaigns sometimes subjective, right? How can we measure that we're doing an effective job?
Yes, I agree with that. It's always been a challenge, but I also agree with what you just said, leveraging the technology and the data and the insights and the tools that is readily available now, which were not maybe 5 years ago or 2 years ago. So let's utilize those tools, get leverage them to sort of kind of co-creating some kind like collaborative effort between both sales and marketing, so that we both feel valued, we both feel belonged, and we both feel that we are creating value, we're adding value to the business, right? Now moving on, in that article that we are kind of referring here is, which is a big thing, and it was not there perhaps maybe 5 years ago, and I'm saying 5 years ago because it was there, but it wasn't paid attention to. And the
Right.
thing I'm talking about here is the social selling, right? The value of building a brand, the value of building your personal brand. And it's so important that I think we can pause here, and we may leave that topic to our next episode to start with, because just looking at the timeline here, we are almost at the 15 minutes mark. So we'll just wrap it up, and on the next episode, we'll start talking about the value of personal branding and the value of using social media as a salesperson, as a sales leader, as a sales rep. Any final thoughts on that, Simon? And I guess then we can say bye to the audience.
Yeah, that's I would agree that ideally we start the new episode covering the social aspect. I think there's a lot of to, let's say, content to unpack when it comes to best practices and trends. Interesting what we have covered today, and I think curious about, obviously excited about things how they're going to be playing out this year, and we'll continue building upon this topic and look forward to the next session. So with that, we'll thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you then in next session.
Thank you, everyone. See you in the next episode. Take care.
Thank you. Thanks.